Saudi Arabia is a country in West Asia. Located in the center of the Middle East, it is one of the countries situated in the Gulf region. It covers the bulk of the Arabian Peninsula and has a land area of about 2,150,000 kilometers square, making it the fifth largest country in Asia, the largest in the Middle East, and the 12th largest in the world. It is bordered by the Red Sea to the west, Jordan, Iraq, and Kuwait to the north, the Persian Gulf, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates to the east, Oman to the southeast, and Yemen to the south. The Gulf of Aqaba in the northwest separates Saudi Arabia from Egypt and Israel. Saudi Arabia is the only country with a coastline along both the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, and most of its terrain consists of arid desert, lowland, steppe, and mountains. The capital and largest city is Riyadh. Other major cities include Jeddah and the two holiest cities in Islam, Mecca and Medina. With a population of almost 36.95 million as of 2023, Saudi Arabia is the fourth most populous country in the Arab world. Pre-Islamic Arabia, the territory that constitutes modern-day Saudi Arabia, was the site of several ancient cultures and civilizations. The prehistory of Saudi Arabia shows some of the earliest traces of human activity outside Africa. Islam, the world's second largest religion, emerged in what is now Saudi Arabia in the early 7th century. Islamic prophet Muhammad united the population of the Arabian Peninsula and created a single Islamic religious polity. Following his death in 632, his followers expanded Muslim rule beyond Arabia, conquering territories in North Africa, Central, South Asia, and Iberia within decades. Arab dynasties originating from modern-day Saudi Arabia founded the Rashidun, 632 to 661, Umayyad, 661 to 750, Abbasid, 750 to 1517, and Fatimid, 909 to 1171, caliphates, as well as numerous other dynasties in Asia, Africa, and Europe. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was founded in 1932 by King Abdulaziz, also known as Ibn Saud, who united the regions of Hijaz, Najd, parts of eastern Arabia, Al-Asa, and South Arabia, Asia, into a single state through a series of conquests beginning in 1902 with the capture of Riyadh, the ancestral home of his family, the House of Saud. Saudi Arabia has since been an absolute monarchy governed by an authoritarian regime without public input. In its basic law, Saudi Arabia defines itself as a sovereign Arab Islamic state with Islam as its official religion and Arabic as its official language. The ultra-conservative Wahhabi religious movement within Sunni Islam was the prevailing political and cultural force in the country until the 2000s. Saudi Arabia is considered both a regional and middle power. Since petroleum was discovered in the country in 1938, the kingdom has become the world's third largest oil producer and leading oil exporter, controlling the world's second largest oil reserves and the sixth largest gas reserves. Saudi Arabia is categorized as a World Bank high-income economy and is the only Arab country among the G20 major economies. The Saudi economy is the largest in the Middle East and the world's 19th largest by nominal GDP and 17th largest by PPP. Ranking very high in the Human Development Index, Saudi Arabia offers tuition-free university education, no personal income tax and free universal health care. With its dependency on foreign labor, Saudi Arabia has the world's third largest immigrant population. Saudi Arabians are among the world's youngest people, with approximately half being under 25 years old. Saudi Arabia is an active and founding member of the Gulf Cooperation Council, United Nations, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Arab League, and OPEC, as well as a dialogue partner of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Evidence of human habitation in the Arabian Peninsula dates back to about 125,000 years ago. A 2011 study found that the first modern humans to spread east across Asia left Africa about 75,000 years ago across the Bab el-Mandeb connecting the Horn of Africa and Arabia. The Arabian Peninsula is regarded as central to the understanding of evolution and dispersals of man. Arabia underwent an extreme environmental fluctuation in the Quaternary that led to profound evolutionary and demographic changes. Arabia has a rich Lower Paleolithic record. The quantity of older and like sites in the region indicate a significant role that Arabia had played in the early hominin colonization of Eurasia. On the 29th of January 2011, hundreds of protesters gathered in Jeddah in a rare display of criticism against the city's poor infrastructure after flooding killed 11 people. Police stopped the demonstration after about 15 minutes and arrested 30 to 50 people. Since 2011, Saudi Arabia has been affected by its own Arab Spring protests. In response, King Abdullah announced on the 22nd of February 2011 a series of benefits for citizens amounting to $36 billion, of which $10.7 billion was earmarked for housing. No political reforms were included, though some prisoners indicted for financial crimes were pardoned. Abdullah also announced a package of $93 billion, which included 500,000 new homes to a cost of $67 billion, in addition to creating 60,000 new security jobs. Although male-only municipal elections were held on the 29th of September 2011, Abdullah allowed women to vote and be elected in the 2015 municipal elections, and also to be nominated to the Shura Council. Saudi Arabia occupies 80% of the Arabian Peninsula, the world's largest peninsula. Its geography is dominated by the Arabian Desert, associated semi-desert, shrubland, steppes, several mountain ranges, volcanic lava fields and highlands. The 647,500 kilometers square Rub al-Khali, empty quarter, in the southeastern part of the country is the world's largest contiguous sand desert. Though there are lakes in the country, Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world by area with no permanent rivers. Numerous wadis, non-permanent rivers throughout the kingdom. The fertile areas are in the alluvial deposits in wadis, basins and oases. There are approximately 1,300 islands in the Red Sea and Arabian Gulf. Saudi Arabia has more than 2,000 dormant volcanoes. Saudi Arabia is home to 5 terrestrial ecoregions: Arabian Peninsula Coastal Fog Desert, Southwestern Arabian Foothills Savanna, Southwestern Arabian Montane Woodlands, Arabian Desert, and Red Sea Nubian Tropical Desert and Semi-Desert. Wildlife includes the Arabian leopard, Arabian wolf, striped hyena, mongoose, but the Red Sea is a rich and diverse ecosystem with more than 1,200 species of fish, around 10% of which are endemic. This also includes 42 species of deep-water fish. The rich diversity is partly owed to the 2,000 kilometers of coral reef extending along the coastline. These fringing reefs are largely formed of stony acropora and porites corals. The reefs form platforms and sometimes lagoons along the coast, and occasional other features such as cylinders, such as the blue hole at Dahab. These coastal reefs are also visited by pelagic species, including some of the 44 species of shark. There are many offshore reefs, including several atolls. Many of the unusual offshore reef formations defy classic, Darwinian, coral reef classification schemes and are generally attributed to the high levels of tectonic activity that characterize the area. Reflecting the country's dominant desert conditions, plant life mostly consists of herbs, plants, and shrubs that require little water. The date palm, Phoenix dactylifera, is widespread. Initial attempts to develop dairy farming on a commercial scale occurred in the Al-Kharj district, just south of Riyadh, during the 1950s. Serious large-scale agricultural development began in the 1970s, particularly with wheat. The government launched an extensive program to promote modern farming technology, to establish rural roads, irrigation networks and storage and export facilities, and to encourage agricultural research and training institutions. As a result, there has been a phenomenal growth in the production of all basic foods. Saudi Arabia is self-sufficient in numerous foodstuffs including meat, milk and eggs. The country exports dates, dairy products, eggs, fish, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and flowers. Dates, once a staple of the Saudi diet, are now mainly grown for global humanitarian aid. In addition, Saudi farmers grow substantial amounts of other grains such as barley, sorghum, and millet. As of 2016, in the interest of preserving precious water resources, domestic production of wheat export ended. Consuming non-renewable groundwater resulted in the loss of an estimated 4/5 of the total groundwater reserves by 2012. The kingdom has the most modern and largest dairy farms in the Middle East. Milk production boasts a remarkably productive annual rate of 6,800 liters per cow, one of the highest in the world. The local dairy manufacturing company Almarai is the largest vertically integrated dairy company in the Middle East. The olive tree is indigenous to Saudi Arabia. The Al Jawf region has millions of olive trees, and the number is expected to increase to 20 million trees. As part of the country's ongoing plan to plant 100 mangrove seedlings along its coastlines, the National Center for Vegetation Cover Development and Combating Desertification has announced that it has planted 7 cultural sites in Saudi Arabia designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites: Al Hijra Archaeological Site, Madain Soleh, the Turayf District in Diriyah, Historic Jeddah, the Gate to Mecca, Al Asa Oasis, Rock Art in the Hale region, Cultural Area, and Urat Bani Ma'arid. There are 6 elements inscribed on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity list: Al-Kat al-Asiri, female traditional interior wall decoration in Asia; Al-Mezmar, drumming and dancing with sticks; falconry, a living human heritage; Arabic coffee, a symbol of generosity; Majlis, a cultural and social space; Alada al-Najdaya, dance, drumming and poetry in Saudi Arabia. On the 5th of November 2024, archaeologists published the news of an ancient city discovered within Saudi oasis of Khobar. The city, named Al-Nata, that dates back 4,000 years, was inhabited during the Bronze Age around 2400 BC and had about 500 houses. Not far, a cluster of graves was found, within them metal weapons. As of October 2018, Saudi Arabia is the largest economy in the Middle East and the 18th largest in the world. It has the world's 2nd largest proven petroleum reserves, is the 3rd largest producer and the largest exporter of petroleum. The country also has the 6th largest proven natural gas reserves. Saudi Arabia is considered an energy superpower, having the 2nd highest total estimated value of natural resources, valued at $34.4 trillion in 2016. Initial attempts to develop dairy farming on a commercial scale occurred in the Al-Khard district, just south of Riyadh, during the 1950s. Serious large-scale agricultural development began in the 1970s, particularly with wheat. The government launched an extensive program to promote modern farming technology, to establish rural roads, irrigation networks and storage and export facilities, and to encourage agricultural research and training institutions. As a result, there has been a phenomenal growth in the production of all basic foods. Saudi Arabia is self-sufficient in numerous foodstuffs, including meat, milk, and eggs. The country exports dates, dairy products, eggs, fish, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and flowers. Dates, once a staple of the Saudi diet, are now mainly grown for global humanitarian aid. In addition, Saudi farmers grow substantial amounts of other grains such as barley, sorghum, and millet. As of 2016, in the interest of preserving precious water resources, domestic production of wheat, which it used to export, ended. Consuming non-renewable groundwater resulted in the loss of an estimated 4/5 of the total groundwater reserves by 2012. The kingdom has some of the most modern and largest dairy farms in the Middle East. Milk production boasts a remarkably productive annual rate of 6,800 liters per cow, one of the highest in the world. The local dairy manufacturing company Almarai is the largest vertically integrated dairy company in the Middle East. The olive tree is indigenous to Saudi Arabia. The Al Jawf region has millions of olive trees, and the number is expected to increase to 20 million trees. As part of the country's ongoing plan to plant 100 mangrove seedlings along its coastlines, the National Center for Vegetation Cover Development and Combating Desertification has announced that it has planted 13 seedlings. One of the main challenges for Saudi Arabia is water scarcity. Substantial investments have been undertaken in seawater desalination, water distribution, sewage and wastewater treatment. Today about 50% of drinking water comes from desalination, 40% from the mining of non-renewable groundwater, and 10% from surface water in the mountainous southwest of the country. Saudi Arabia is suffering from a major depletion of the water in its underground aquifers and a resultant breakdown and disintegration of its agriculture as a consequence. As a result of the catastrophe, Saudi Arabia has bought agricultural land in the United States, Argentina, and Africa. Saudi Arabia ranked as a major buyer of agricultural land in foreign countries. In 2019, Saudi Arabia adopted a general tourism travel visa to allow non-Muslims to visit. Although most tourism largely involves religious pilgrimages, there is growth in the leisure tourism sector. According to the World Bank, approximately 14.3 million people visited Saudi Arabia in 2012, making it the world's 19th most visited country. Tourism is an important component of the Saudi Vision 2030, and according to a report conducted by BMI Research in 2018, both religious and non-religious tourism have significant potential for expansion. The kingdom offers an electronic visa for foreign visitors to attend sports events and concerts. In 2019, the kingdom announced its plans to open visa applications for visitors, where people from about 50 countries would be able to get tourist visas to Saudi. In 2020 it was announced that holders of a US, UK or Schengen visa are eligible for a Saudi electronic visa upon arrival. Saudi Arabia's reported population is 36.95 million as of 2023, making it the fourth most populous country in the Arab world. Close to 42% of its inhabitants are immigrants, mostly from the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. The Saudi population has grown rapidly since 1950, when it was estimated at 3 million. For much of the 20th century, the country had one of the highest population growth rates in the world. At around 3% annually, it continues to grow at a rate of 1.62% per year, slightly higher than the rest of the Middle East and North Africa. Consequently, the Saudi people are quite young by global standards, with over half the population under 25 years old. The ethnic composition of Saudi citizens is 90% Arab and 10% Afro-Arab. Most Saudis are concentrated in the southwest. Hijaz, which is the most populated region, is home to 1/3 of the population, followed by neighboring Najd, 28%, and the eastern province, 15%. As late as 1970, most Saudis lived a subsistence life in the rural provinces, but in the last half of the 20th century, the kingdom has urbanized rapidly. As of 2023, about 85% of Saudis live in urban metropolitan areas, specifically Riyadh, Jeddah, and Damman. Virtually all Saudi citizens and residents are Muslim. By law, all citizens of the country are Muslim. Estimates of the Sunni population range between 85% and 90%, with the remaining 10 to 15% being Shia Muslim, practicing either Twelver Shiism or Sulaimani Ismailism. The official and dominant form of Sunni Islam is Salafism, commonly known as Wahhabism, which was founded in the Arabian Peninsula by Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab in the 18th century. Other denominations, such as the minority Shia Islam, systematically suppressed. Shia Muslims in Saudi Arabia are largely found in the eastern province, particularly in Qatif and Al-Asa. There are an estimated 1.5 million Christians in Saudi Arabia, almost all foreign workers. Saudi Arabia allows Christians to enter the country as temporary foreign workers but does not allow them to practice their faith openly. There are officially no Saudi citizens who are Christians, as Saudi Arabia forbids religious conversion from Islam, apostasy, and punishes it by death. According to the Pew Research Center, there are 390,000 Hindus in Saudi Arabia, almost all foreign workers. Najran was home to local Christian and Jewish communities. Prior to establishment of Israel, Najran was home to 260 Jews and had friendly relations with Ibn Saud. They had a Yemenite Jewish background. After the establishment of Israel and the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, all the Jews fled for Yemen and from there headed to Israel. Education is free at all levels, although higher education is restricted to citizens only. The school system is composed of elementary, intermediate, and secondary schools. Classes are segregated by sex. At the secondary level, students are able to choose from 3 types of schools: